Welcome to the Denton Vibe with Diva Girl Ellie, powered in part by Studio E and Classic of Denton.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us here on the Denton Vibe with Diva Girl Ellie here at DentonRadio.com. I want to welcome my beautiful guest, Anise Marshall, here today. She's going to sit in with us, and we're going to get to know her a little bit better here in studio. So get comfortable, get warm, get your little coffee. Somebody bring me a white chocolate mocha, please. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm not. Bring two. Anyways, but we're going to get to know Anise and what she's up to here in Denton, get to know all about her. So thanks for being here.
Thank you.
I have been trying to get her on here, and it is just, we won't talk about how we met unless you want to. Nothing bad. But I met Anise, and she was exceptional in her first impression.
Aww.
My first impression of her was just, I was very impressed by you and your personality and your cheerfulness and your attitude was just something that immediately I took notice of. And the more we began to talk in our environment that we were in, the more I was like, there's something about her.
Aww.
There is something about her. And so immediately I felt a connection to you. And the day that I met you, you gave me something, which was really sweet to me because I was like, one of the things we were talking about is the connection that women have with each other and finding your tribe. And so that being very important to me, to be a female, I mean, we were just talking about this before the show, to being a positive female influence to other women, to be uplifting, supportive, encouraging, and be basically the cheerleader and protector. And lo and behold, I met you, and you are a woman who pretty much your whole premise is about that.
Yeah.
And the reason it's about that is because you have these beautiful gifts in your life that you are protecting.
Yes.
So let's talk about Anise first, as far as who you are. How did you get to Denton?
My husband actually was offered a position at UNT as an accountant there. And so we decided to uproot ourselves from Carbondale, Illinois.
Wow.
And make the move. We are the couple that we start things and we're like, we're just going to do something new.
Wow.
You know, we take chances. And I think that's why things kind of work out for us, because we're not afraid to move forward in life. We're never stagnant. We're always about moving forward because we know that we have purpose. And your purpose is tied to who you are. And I believe that's probably why we had the connection that we did, because you also have purpose.
Thank you.
And our purpose is bigger than us. It's bigger than the people that we meet. It's about changing the lives of people who not only meet us, but meet the people that we've already met. So
definitely, whether it be, you know, a temporary time or a permanent time, people make marks on your life and you make marks on them. So hopefully it's a positive exchange in your life. Now, when we were talking and we were talking about the females being influential to each other and supportive of each other, you gave me a coin, and the coin was a picture of, what was it?
It was a logo. Let me see if I have one with just the logo on it. Well, it's actually,
if you can see this, there's a logo behind this cover, and it says the Sister's Keeper.
The Sister Keepers.
The Sister Keepers. And then, so it's a little rose on it. So tell me what the Sister Keepers means.
So the Sister Keepers is bigger than just women. It's about the people you meet, the people that you meet, and the effect that you have on them when you meet them. So the Sister Keepers are based on my beautiful 5 daughters.
Nice.
I have 5 daughters.
Yes, ma'am.
5 of them. And I wanted to do something because I saw what was going on with our children. You know, they are starting to lack self-esteem.
Very much so.
They don't believe in themselves. And it's not just the young girls, it's also the young boys. And a lot of it is tied to bullying and just not knowing what meaningful friendships are, not understanding that some children have disabilities, whether you can see them or not. being kind to others, like simple morals, you know. And then the biggest thing is the bullying. You know, a lot of kids are dealing with a lot of bullying and wanting to cause harm to themselves or other people around them. And as an educator, I taught for 2 years. I have a bachelor's in journalism and advertising and a master's in curriculum and instruction.
Nice.
With a concentration in teacher leadership. And I took a few classes. There was a curriculum course that I took, and it affected me in a different kind of way. Because I was able to look up all these different kinds of research on how children are affected in their environment. And it's small, simple things that we know need to be done that's not being done.
We take it for granted.
We take it for granted, right?
Our busy lives around us. Yeah.
And then it's really not, I don't want to put blame anywhere, because I think that in this day and age, we are very busy. Most households, each parent is holding probably 2 jobs, you know, each. And they rarely have time to instill morals in their children and do things with their kids. And it can be very sad. But even though it's not the teacher's job to instill what needs to be instilled at home, we still have the opportunity as educators to change the lives of our youth, right? And so I decided I'm going to go ahead and do something that I know hasn't ever been done before. And that is creating a book series dedicated to youth, boys and girls alike, that struggle with the areas that I just told you about: disabilities, bullying, meaningful friendships, dealing with conflict, you know, being kind to one another. And each one is based on one of my daughters.
Nice.
And I chose those 5 things not only because those are things that our communities need. I also chose those things because I felt like those were things that made my daughters the sister keepers, right? They have these superpowers about them. They have these things that they help other children their age overcome because of their experiences. And I'm so thankful that I raised them in a way where they know their value to the point where they can teach other people about their values.
That's awesome.
So that's pretty much what the Sister Keepers is about, and how I got started. I said, you know what, I'll go ahead and, you know, have this curriculum background. I can get some curriculum-based books out there to the communities, with multicultural diversity. You know, I want kids to see themselves in these books, scenarios, the way that, you know, they need to see children that don't always look like them. So that's why I created it.
Okay, so you have a very important inspiration going on here, because obviously your daughters are what are inspiring you. Aside from being an educator and having that influence in that arena, you know, you're right. You do have the ability to influence children even in that aspect, and it's definitely not your obligatory role to raise a child, but you definitely do have the ability to influence them in that arena of the classroom. They're with you a lot of the time when they're in that arena, and it's very important to understand that sometimes, you know, I've never been an educator. I was a pre-K through 4th grade teacher assistant at a charter school one time, but I realized very quickly that some of the kids that are in there do not have that same happy home that everyone else does.
It's sad.
And it stands out really quickly, and you start to witness behavioral patterns.
Yeah.
And they stand out so quickly. And then sometimes you want to be protective, but you also want them to find their courage to be their own little person. And then, you know, there's things that are going on behind the scenes that you don't catch. They're in the hallway. They're getting, you know, taunted in the hall or on, you know, in recess or in the lunchroom. So it's very hard to control all of that. But it's so important to be able to give them the, you know, the tools needed to protect themselves when they're on their own, in their own little world, because they are in their own little world.
Yeah.
Half the time parents don't even know what's going on because they won't say anything because they're embarrassed or they feel unworthy. And for them to be able to go to school and feel safe is not as common as we would want to think it is. And then for them to carry that burden day in and day out, and that fear, That's a lot.
And that's exactly why the slogan to the Sister Keepers is that we all matter to this world. So
Definitely.
I did learn as an educator, and especially as a mom,
Mm-hmm.
that showing children that they're valued, it absolutely changes their views of themselves and the people that are around them.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't even realize that the same views that they have of themselves and the same insecurities that they have this ability to discover that about their peers.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you instill in a child that they are meaningful, that they have purpose, that they have value, and that they can add to others around them, even if they don't want to live for themselves, they'll do it for the people around them. And sometimes that's all kids have. And I learned that a lot as an educator. I taught fourth grade. I mean, I did elementary school. I did high school. I really pride myself on when I taught high school. It was the best experience that I've ever had. And it was because I had to teach them about what tough love meant. And I would find myself all the time saying, you know, I'm not here to be your friend. I'm here to teach you. You know, I'm here to teach you about you. And I'm here to teach you about your curriculum. But first, you need to understand that I'm not here to be your friend. I'm an adult. And at first, I think that some of the kids took that in a negative light. They're like, oh, well, what do you mean? And it's like, I'm not here to play. You know, does that mean that we can't have fun? No. You know, and I think after a while, it was like a respect that was built up. Whenever my kids would come into my classroom, I would meet them at the door and I would tell them, whatever issue that you had prior to coming here, you leave it at the door. It doesn't need to come into this classroom, because what does anger solve? Nothing.
Definitely.
It just tears you down. You feel terrible. You can't concentrate. I want you to be your best and do your best. And you matter. So when kids know that they're valued and they know that they matter,
Leave it at the door.
It changes their perspective on the world. They're like, even though I don't like that Mrs. Marshall is disciplining me, she's telling me what I need to know. And it turned into so much respect, to the point where the children the ones that you spoke of, the ones that were misbehaving and, you know, it made it difficult. Those were the ones that stood up and advocated for me whenever it was chaos in the room. You know, they would, hey, this is Mrs. Marshall. She loves us. We're going to respect her. And it would always take me back. You know, like, wow, like, you know, you don't realize that you have this effect on them until after you're gone. And I'm still in touch with a bunch of my students that I taught in high school and in grammar school. So
that's really amazing, because you're right. First of all, you're right about that tough love. And that doesn't just apply to preschool, high school, you know, children. That is a
Adults.
Basic, yes, it is a basic rule of relationships, in any form of a relationship. And what you were doing is you were drawing your boundaries. And this is something that is not going to be crossed in my house, basically. These are the rules. These are the boundaries. Don't cross it. But you're also telling them, you don't need to bring in your baggage here. This is your safe zone.
You're valued.
And for them to be able to put their burdens down, even if it was just for an hour or 45 minutes, whatever your class was, they felt safe. And that's why their mentality changed from, you know, kid acting out. Kid acting out to, hey, at least I can be safe here.
Or can I spend lunch with you?
I can imagine. And you know, people start to see you in a different light, even no matter what's going on in their world. Coming into that class, I'm pretty sure you made that mark on them.
Thank you.
So it's interesting that your 5 daughters, obviously they're on the books. So what are their age groups or their age differences?
So my oldest is she'll be 13 in December.
Oh my goodness.
And my illustrator is amazing.
Yes.
So if you've ever seen photos of my children, these illustrations are spot on.
Nice.
And what I did was I sent her photos of the girls, and I told her, I said, hey, you know, these are their personalities. This is the things that they like to wear. These are the things that they like to do. This is how they like to act. And I asked her to incorporate their personalities in the illustrations.
Nice.
And so she was able to do that. So you'll be able to see throughout the entire book series that there are certain qualities that each child has
Yes.
that is unique to them. And so my oldest, her name is Anise. She'll be 13. And then my second to oldest is Elise, and she is 9. She'll be 10 in January.
Nice.
Then we have Alyssa, and she helps children with bullying. I'm so proud of her.
Nice.
She overcame a whole lot with bullying and just being able to advocate
Nice.
and understand the perspective from both sides and talk to people. So I can't wait for that one to come out. She is 8. She just turned 8 in October. And then this here is Alana Isabella. I call her Bella. But her name is Alana in the book. She is 5. And then we have baby Shannon.
Nice.
And she has just turned 5. I'm sorry, 5. 4.
Oh.
This one's 5. That one's 4. And so she has a disability. And her disability is epilepsy. And so what I do is I do public speaking and of course the book series, and I do readings, and I educate children about children who have disabilities.
Very nice.
Yeah.
That is wonderful. So how has this experience for you as a mom, as an educator, the books themselves? Because I know your daughters are watching you, obviously. For one, you've already started instilling in them the values that you're talking about in here. So obviously they're getting that home training.
Oh yeah.
And so now you're telling me that your legacy is already coming out in full force, because if you've got your daughters that are, mentally maturing in a way that kids don't usually do, because, people get busy, and we're not saying this or that, but, when you invest that type of material and basic moral, not just lessons, but almost like a protection.
Oh yes.
They're going to use that tool definitely like a tool. So they're using these tools, and you're watching this unravel before you. And how has that changed the dynamics in your family, especially with the girls? And when they come, I would imagine every day it's like, Mom, there's this kid at school. Okay, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
And they're just I would imagine they're very analytical at this point now, because they're watching you talk about these things. You're teaching it to them. It's a core set of values in your household.
Yeah.
What is it like for them? I wouldn't even put it past it. The 4-year-old is saying stuff and analyzing things. Is at 4, they're absorbing everything.
She definitely, I believe, analyzes things to a different degree. She does sign language.
Nice.
She's not able to speak a whole lot right now, but we try to take away from what she can't do, and we talk about the things that she can do, right? So there's so much that she can do, which is sign language, and being able to communicate through things like that. And so it's funny that you asked me about how they communicate with me. I don't know if you all noticed this little treasure box here, but this treasure box is based around the Sister Keepers, and it's been trademarked. It's all about, like I said, letting kids know that they're meaningful to this world. And so this here we have 2 different kinds of treasure boxes, and you'll see it in this book here.
Okay.
On the first page.
Oh, these are very colorful, and
yes,
this is gorgeous.
Vibrant. Thank you.
I love it.
And so I teach my children about the treasure boxes, and long story short, it's teaching children to treasure their thoughts, right? And so on the top, we have engraved, "Here to the end, and us, you'll always have a friend," the Sister Keepers treasure box. Nice. So if you feel alone, you have the Sister Keepers. You are a Sister Keeper, or you're connected to the Sister Keepers. And so the purpose of it is to show children how valued they are. And like I said, I do this for my own children. And so here we have one of them that says, "Reach for the moon. Even if you miss, you will land among the stars." And so, and there's little Sister Keepers on the back. And so the purpose of this is when my children are having a difficult time, what they'll do is they'll write little notes to encourage themselves, and they'll put them on these little pieces of paper. And we do offer this on our site.
Very cool.
But they put them in here, right? And so when they're feeling down, if they don't have the opportunity to talk to me, which I really, really love about this, they can go inside of the treasure box and remind themselves how valued they are if they need to believe in themselves. And so as a parent, sometimes I'll write things on their treasure box and put it inside. Or sometimes they'll write encouraging things to themselves and put them inside. So in this book here, it's all about, so Shannon, she doesn't communicate through words, but she uses sign language to communicate when she can. And so this book is all about her finding her way to help her peers find the value in themselves. So it's very inspirational. I read this to a group of third graders and half of them were in tears.
Oh, I would be in tears. I would be in tears.
And they had a lot of questions, you
Did
know,
they really?
and they were excited about the sign language and the diversity, the different cultures. They asked about what a disability was. And we have this stigma where we shush kids and we stop them from asking questions when they see someone in a wheelchair or, you know, missing a limb.
Very common.
Yeah.
Very common to see that and to be a kid who wants to know what happened.
Right. And I have a friend, she's actually in a wheelchair. She had a spinal cord injury when she was in high school. And I spoke with her a couple weeks ago and she goes, you know what, Anise? I prefer for people to ask me what it is that I have going on because I can educate them. She said, you know, there's different kinds of spinal cord injuries. There's different kind of people who have different disabilities. And so I told her about the Sister Keepers book series and she was just blown away by it. She's like, I've never seen anything like this before. She's like, you know, a lot of times people feel like they shouldn't ask questions whenever you can't see a person's disability, you know, and I noticed that when I did my reading in the classroom, there were a lot of kids that didn't know what epilepsy meant. And I discovered that there's a lot of adults that you know, that really don't know what epilepsy is, which is fine. I love the opportunity to educate because there's so many different kinds of epilepsy, right? All seizures don't look the same, you know?
Definitely.
And so, it's just been a blessing just having the opportunity to share with the world the significance that showing children how much purpose they have, how impactful it can be, how it can change their views on not only themselves but life.
Definitely.
You know?
And not only that, I feel like if you equip them with those tools, they'll be able to recognize it in others a lot quicker.
Yeah.
So they're going to, I don't want to say come to the rescue because we don't have to, it's not our job to fix other people, but you are definitely going to recognize it and say, hey, are you okay? Is there something going on? Do you need to talk or something? Or go talk to this person. They'll be more equipped to
open door policy.
Yeah.
Exactly. Absolutely.
So it definitely lets you recognize pain. You know, they're in that environment every day. So if they can, you know, understand someone's hurting, then they're going to take action and not let it sit there. And that's why you have these campaigns now in school or anywhere. It doesn't even have to be an elementary type thing or, you know, grade school level. It could be, you know, don't not say anything. You got to say something.
You have to advocate for others.
Definitely.
Where they feel like they've lost their voice and who they are. And that can be difficult even for adults to stand up and speak up for someone. But it gives you a different kind of view on life when you decide to step up and say something for somebody who may be feeling down. And you don't even realize the impact that it could have. You probably stop someone from doing the most horrible thing that they could have done to themselves.
Exactly.
Just by letting them know, hey, I don't know you, but I care about you. And people want to know that they're valued. You know, and not a lot of people do. And that's exactly why I said I was so proud of my daughter, Alyssa, her book will be coming out third. Is all about bullying. She's overcome so much. You know, she's been bullied like bad to the point where, you know, I was just like, man, I hope that she understands what I'm teaching her, what I'm instilling in her. I hope she understands how valued she is. And when I came out with the Sister Keepers book series, she told me, she goes, Mommy, you're a publisher. I'm so proud of you. I'm going to publish my own books. And I said, Alyssa, you realize that a lot of kids your age don't even know what a publisher is. You know,
that's amazing.
And she goes, well, I want to teach the world about bullying, how you can be so much more. And I'm just like, wow. You know, you teach your kids these things, but you don't really realize or understand if it's impacting their lives.
So out of curiosity now, it is hard. I know it happens more often than people even realize. I know it's happened even to, my nephews or nieces, and the first thing you feel is this emotion of protective lion type ferocity.
Mama bear.
Yes, mama bear type stuff. And even me being the aunt, I'm like, oh heck no. And so, but then you have to wonder, what is that child going through that is making him or her act this way? And then you have to quickly remember and tell the kids, this is not about you.
Yeah. And that's why she is so amazing, because she acknowledges that. She's like, maybe they're hurting, or maybe I'll bring, if the teacher is upset at school, you like to drink tea, right, Mommy? I'll bring her some tea. Just the small things and understanding that when you have the opportunity to show someone they're valued, you know that you can have an impact no matter how small or big, and I believe that they will take that into, when they grow up into adults. And what I also love about these books is that I feel like parents actually learn a whole lot as well. Like, wow, what can I do how can I challenge my children to think their way through situations like the bullying thing? Those are really good prompting questions. What do you think happened that made them feel this way? You don't want anyone to feel guilty. And you don't want your children to think that it's okay to be bullied. But you want to ask them, hey, what is it that you can do? Obviously you're going to need to tell a teacher. And then you need to figure out a way, okay, what's going on with this child? Like, this is my peer. I see that when I get to school, his coat isn't zipped all the way up, or his coat's really thin. Maybe I can bring him some gloves and tell him I saw that his coat was thin. And that's been a scenario for her before. And she's gone out of her way to do things like that. And you want to teach your kids to do those things now, so that when they become adults, it's just nature. It's a second nature. Yeah. It's not, let me see this and let me Snapchat it while I'm, no, I'm going to do this good thing because that's what good people do.
Yeah. And it's so weird, because I actually posted today.
I saw that. Something
about, I was sitting right there in front of the mall at a red light, and there was 3 lanes, and the first car in the front of the lane, and I don't want to get into too much detail, but the woman gets out of her car and she walks over to whoever was standing on that corner. Yeah. And that apparently was handicapped. Yeah. And so she gets off and she touches his arm, and she gives him a handshake with something in it. Yeah. So, and I'm like, just the fact that she got out of her car, I sat there and I was like, the world is what it is, and you're going to have your opinion of that situation. Yeah. And I'm not trying to change it. Yeah. But for me, in my own experience, it was like, wow.
You don't know what got that person there.
She in that split second, she was a young girl too. She gets out of the car, she walks over to him, and she engaged him, and she treated him with dignity and respect. And that's the point I was trying to make. She didn't make him hobble over there to her. Yeah. Which was something that just blew me away.
And probably impacted him more than she even realized.
Exactly. Because she treated him with the dignity and respect that he deserves, no matter what the situation is. Yes. So those types of things, as simple as it was, and as, small gesture as it was, and people may argue whatever they want to argue, and I'm not here to do that, but it was of value to me. I took it as a valuable lesson.
It reminds me of those commercials where it starts off as a simple, kind moment by holding the door open for someone, and then the next person sees someone struggling with something and they help. Yeah. It's the basic fundamentals that we all need to have as human.
We forget, though.
We forget that everyone is human, and everyone has a bad day sometimes.
Yeah, definitely.
Somebody's struggling with something
more than you know. I've been seeing a lot of those posts pop up that, for the mom or the person that is keeping it together with a smile on their face. You just never know. And a lot of times we say those things, even in the most tragic of circumstances. We're like, I had no idea. Mm-hmm. And
the month of October was mental health
awareness month.
Yeah.
So it's very relative to be able to equip children with these tools so that they could, be more aware
Yeah.
and be like, no, you're not by yourself.
Yeah.
There's
And my favorite part about this entire book series is the diversity
nice.
and how multicultural everything is. I mean, you have children from different
I love it.
backgrounds and different cultures.
Definitely.
And
Celebration of it, actually.
Celebrating it.
Yeah.
And what way to get to know people from different cultures than with food, right?
I was just going to say.
We all like to eat.
Yes, we
And we
do.
all have our favorite things that we like to eat from where we're from, right?
Yeah.
And so a part of building meaningful friendships and learning and valuing others is to value who they are.
Definitely.
And so I make it very important at the end of
Very
each
beautiful.
book to share a recipe.
Oh, very cool.
Yes.
I see that. I was like, what is that word? I don't recognize that word.
Yeah.
Well, it's a different language word.
Yeah, it's called fufu, and it's a recipe that I got online from West Africa.
Very
So one of the
nice.
characters in the book is from West Africa, and she doesn't appear to be a person who's from that area, and so that's why I said this is something that hasn't been done before.
Yeah.
Because everybody doesn't look
Yes, definitely.
like the stereotype of what they should look like, or who they should be,
Definitely.
or where they're from. And so we can learn so much about people
Yeah.
just by embracing who they are through different cultures and ethnicities. And that's what I really love about this book series.
Well, that's amazing. So, okay, how many books have been published?
So these two are the only two that have been published.
Okay, and you're working on?
And we're working on book number 3, and that book is here.
Okay.
And it's titled Respect is a Present for Everyone You Meet.
Nice.
And that's all about this little one here, Alana Isabella.
Nice.
And she is the sweetest child that you would ever meet. Anybody who's
Aw.
ever met her always raves about how sweet she is.
Aw.
And it's all because of how kind she is. She literally thinks about what she can do to make sure that you know that you're valued.
Oh, that is adorable.
Oh,
and that's
yes.
important.
Yeah.
That is really important for someone her age to be, constantly thinking of that. She's going to be a great human being.
Oh,
She already is.
Thank you. Thank you.
So if someone wants to reach out to you and get a hold of this or have you speak at one of their classrooms / event, how do they
Absolutely.
get a hold of you? What do they need to do?
So they can either email me at info@thesisterkeepers.com. They can also find me online at Barnes & Noble. We're also on Amazon. But once these books are purchased from our website, thesisterkeepers.com, it always comes with a free gift.
Nice.
We always provide a free gift for every book that's purchased. Right now we have a bundle deal where you can get the first 2 books from the series. You can subscribe to our website and you'll be one of the first to get newsletters. We have a mommy blog that's all dedicated to understanding who you are and having someone to walk with you through the struggles of motherhood.
Very cool.
Definitely.
That's a good tool too.
Oh, yeah. And my favorite page is also the girls are animated, and the tab is Meet the Sister Keepers.
Oh, very
and
cool.
each one has their voice, their actual voice, and they're explaining who they are and what purpose that they serve as a sister keeper.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
That's going to be great. Okay, so you guys need to get out there, especially if you have children.
Oh, yes.
But if you feel this is relevant material to your environment, doesn't necessarily have to be for little girls. It could be for boys. It could be
Yes.
for, these are just life lessons. So
Yeah.
don't limit yourself, even though you see that it's,
Girls on the
caricature
cover.
or girls.
Well, as
they're
we
very
go
well,
on-
beautifully done. The
Thank
artwork is
you.
amazing.
Thank
It is
you.
very vibrant and very the colors are just
They pop
gorgeous.
out.
Yes, they do.
Yes.
So props to your illustrator.
Thank you.
And be supportive. Support local authors,
Definitely.
artists, and get out there and spread the word about her stuff. Share.
Or you can Google us
Yeah.
at 5 Royal Sisters Publishing.
There you go.
If you have a hard time looking up thesisterkeepers.com, I know sometimes people are like, my sister keeper.
Yeah.
So if you have a issue with locating thesisterkeepers.com, you can find us. You can just Google 5 Royal Sisters Publishing.
Very nice.
And it'll pop up there.
Well, thank you so much for sharing all of this with us. It's a beautiful, beautiful legacy that you're leaving
you.
behind with the books, with the meaning of everything. And I'm
Thank you
so
so
glad
much.
to have you be a part of the show tonight. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Of course. And so just keep us in touch. Keep in touch with me. I know you will. And we will keep tabs on you as well. And good luck on that next book, and let us know when it's out.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much, you guys, for joining us
Thank
here
you.
on the Denton Vibe with Diva Girl Ellie here on DentonRadio.com. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the show. Be sure to check out DentonRadio.com for new Denton artists and where they're playing next. While you're surfing the internet, make sure you check out our friends Classic of Denton at ClassicofDenton.com.